Recently, Brawl Stars changed up their Brawler rarities. Chromatic Brawlers no longer exist, and they have been distributed to different rarities. With all the recent balance changes, hypercharges, and rarity realignment, it's about darn time that we give some guidance on the Brawlers you all should be prioritizing to unlock for every single rarity. So, let's get into it. Let's start with an easy one. For rare, Rosa is the way to go for me. I think she's the best Brawler in this tier, and despite a nerf recently to how quickly she can charge her hypercharge, it's really not too bad. She's still very tanky, can be very aggressive, can pile up kills, and her hypercharge allows her to get a natural stat boost, and also the hypercharge slows down enemies. Rosa is just a very good brawler since she's had that addition of a hypercharge. She's been anywhere from A to S tier since that has come out, and I still think she resides there. On any bushy map, Rosa is an absolute problem. If you're a really new player though and looking for any options in the rare tier as well, I would go with Bull and Colt, another couple hypercharge brawlers that are very fun and very good right now. Super rare is an interesting one and feels like one that has several brawlers in contention that are all really good on some game modes, but definitely can be countered and have bad matchups and some bad maps as well. Jackie, Jessie, Dynamite, and 8-Bit are all the first that come to mind for me, and again, all of them can do really well on certain maps and modes, but I don't think any of them thrive across the board. Surprisingly, I think the most competitively viable might actually be Jackie here. She has a great hypercharge, and the fact that she can charge that just by taking damage makes it a little bit easier to absolutely make some pop-off plays. She's an insane threat with that hypercharge. You can add a gadget in there if you need to get some quick shots in to speed her up a little bit, but I do think Jackie is the best overall in this if you're a really good player. She's not necessarily the easiest, so if you need other options, I would shoot for Dynamite or Jessie. Dynamite's hypercharge has added some new life to him. He does a crazy amount of damage now, and he has his double jump back, so for me personally, he is at an all-time high again in the fun category. Jessie is great for her hypercharge too, but her super can take longer and her shots can be a little bit tougher to hit. I think Jackie is the best overall, but any of those other two would be a couple honorable mentions for me as well. Now we can get into the real good stuff. I think Epic tier is loaded at the tippy top with some insane brawlers. I think three of them have arguments to be S tier and top 5 brawlers right now, and those three for me of course would be Bo, Maisie, and surprisingly Edgar. Bo got a massive damage buff recently, and that stat change alone has taken him from out of relevancy, out of the meta, into being arguably a top 5 brawler for me. His mines give newer players a ton of trouble as well, so if you were pushing him on the ladder really early on, he is going to give some newer players an absolute hard time. You are going to dominate. He's probably the best brawler right now, or at least top 2 that don't have a hypercharge. Meanwhile, Maisie has been on a tear the past couple months since her hypercharge has been released. If you are a Brawl esports fan, watch things like the World Finals, she has been absolutely insane. That super gadget combo is nearly unstoppable. The hypercharge gives her a big stat buff. She can take on tanks very well right now, and she actually outranges more brawlers than you probably think. I think Maisie is as good as it gets right now. Edgar also received a small nerf to his hypercharge, but I still think he is absolutely insane right now, has some pop-off potential, and I know there are a ton of players that love this brawler, so I feel no shame in going to get Edgar. But if I have to pick one, while Bo is the only of these three that does not have a hypercharge, I still think he is arguably the best for most players. Maisie has a delayed shot that can be a little bit tricky, and Edgar is that pop-off potential, but if you mess up after the gadgets and you run out of them and you can't cycle your super as easily, you're gonna get punished for it. So I think Bo is the most forgiving of these three, and I think the easiest to use of the trio. So that's what I would recommend for most players. If you want those hypercharges though, feel free to go for Maisie, feel free to go for Edgar. Maisie's just gonna be a little bit trickier with that delayed shot, and I think Bo is the easiest to master, so if you're trying to push trophies as quickly as possible, I think Bo's the way to go. Real quickly, before we hop into our top 2 tiers, if you made it this far in the video, please go down below and leave a like, and if you find yourself coming around often or enjoying Brawl Stars content in general, please consider subscribing to the channel. There are 2 ways that help the channel out a ton, are super easy to do, and take next to no time at all. Now, on to Mythic. In Mythic, there are several great choices too. I think Fang is still the best despite the nerfs. It takes longer to grab his hypercharge, but he is great across a lot of maps, and if you haven't had a chance to play 5v5 and you're a fan, his full potential can definitely be unlocked there. Fang's stat boost with the hypercharge makes him absolutely insane, and the ability to phase through walls with his super during the hypercharge makes him insanely powerful. Plus, his fun factor is super high right now if he's in your hands. If you're playing against him, different story though. If you need another choice though, I think Charlie is still being slept on a little bit here. I'm sure her play rate has decreased since the set of nerfs that she's gotten, and while she was at the tip tippy top and arguably super OP, she is still a fantastic option. Great super, great gadget with the spiders, can win you lane matchups, and can even secure goals similarly to something like a Sandy gadget that can put people to sleep, whereas she puts you in a cocoon. Plus, she's really great into tanks right now with that cocoon super, so I do think she is still going to be really solid right now. For our final tier, legendary might as well be choose your own adventure because there are several great options right now. The newest brawler Kit is an obvious choice right now. I think he's the best support brawler in the game, super unique and dominating on ladder right now, so if you want a piece of all the new action or you didn't get early access to him, definitely save up some tokens for him, at least before he gets nerfed. However, here are a couple extras that I do think are certainly worth mentioning and have absolute value in adding to your brawler collection. I think one of the most versatile brawlers in the game right now is Cordelius. Cordelius has one of the best supers in the entire game where he gives you an advantage by dragging your opponent into a different realm, and Cordelius has a natural stat buff and can use gadgets over your enemy brawler. He's risen to the top for professional play, is fantastic into tanks, and has a gadget that can halt an enemy offense. His range is short though, and I would say there is definitely more skill involved with him as you get higher up. There are some bad matchups for him and you really have to nail that range, but if you're pushing into anything like a rank 20 or rank 25, I think he's going to be fantastic and do a lot of matchups on the way there. I also think somebody that's not giving enough talk about, and I know the professional scene has really been catering towards, is Leon. His new hypercharge is being super slept on by a lot of the community, which is surprising to me considering he is a fan favorite. He's actually really good right now, so don't feel any shame for going for Leon, and I think he actually might be the second best option here behind Kit. Spike's my final honorable mention here. I think he just fits in just about anywhere. If you want the definition of a brawler that's not quite S tier, but at the tippy top of something like an A tier, Spike is around. Hypercharge is good, and if you need proof of him being good, I made a video of me recently mastering him, so if I can do it, I know you guys can too. For now though, Kit would be my top option, Leon in second, and then the other ones I mentioned are absolutely in the mix as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and let me know if you guys would like to see this be a reoccurring series on the channel, and please consider liking the video if you enjoyed it. With that being said, we'll see you in the next one.